at the world after just one day. Watch this madness, colorful charade. No one can be just like me anymore.
Welcome back to my channel. Today is episode 2 of my Wedding Wednesday series, and if it is your first time here, I'm going to link episode 1 in the description box below. So after you watch this episode, you can go back and watch episode 1. In my last video, I listed 5 things that I would do differently on my wedding day, and today I'm going to give you 5 tips for your wedding day. Everyone who knows me knows how much I love pictures. I love to take photos. I love to post photos. I take pictures of everything. So pictures were very important to me. So tip number 1 is that I recommend you make a list of every single photo that you want taken on your wedding day. Give it to your photographer ahead of time. And another great tip, and I know that everyone might not have access to something like this, but I have a friend who takes a lot of photos, actually 2 friends, who have nice cameras and have always taken a lot of photos for me. And I actually had one friend, she was one of my bridesmaids, but she brought her camera to the rehearsal dinner. So she took some really great photos of the rehearsal dinner for me to have, which was really nice because our photographer was not there at the rehearsal dinner. So I have some really great photos of all the decor and me with my family and me with each bridesmaid and stuff like that from the rehearsal dinner. So if you could designate one of your bridesmaids or your aunt or just someone who knows how to take photos or has a nice camera who can take photos like that for you free of charge. Another tip to go along with that is that one of my friends who was an honorary bridesmaid actually brought her nice camera and kind of stayed in the dressing room with us all day, and she took some of my favorite pictures. So having more than one person taking photos is really helpful to make sure that you got everything you wanted. So I would definitely make a list, make 2 or 3 copies of that list, give one to your legit wedding photographer, and then if you have a friend who is taking photos or a family member who's taking a bunch of photos for you that day, give them the list too, because if 2 or 3 people have that list, you are more likely to get every single photo that you want. And I shared that as tip number 1 because ideally you need to have this list made before your wedding day. So I'm kind of doing these in chronological order. Tip number 2 seems like an obvious one, but it could really affect how your wedding day goes. Tip number 2 is that you need to get a good night's rest and you need to eat breakfast or brunch or a little bit at lunch, just something so that you won't have like a nervous stomach or feel sick that day. So the night before my wedding, 4 of my bridesmaids stayed with me at my parents' house. And it was a lot of fun. My parents have this big living room, so we all slept in the living room, and we like moved their coffee table out and had like 3 blow-up mattresses, and we watched Bridesmaids, and then we fell asleep at a really decent hour. So I felt so well rested on my wedding day, and I know that being well rested helps you feel better. You won't have bags under your eyes. I know when I get really exhausted, it does not take very much to make me upset or make me cry. So wedding day is definitely one of those days that can be really tiring and stressful. So getting a good night's rest will definitely help with that. A lot of people say like they can't eat breakfast or they're not a breakfast person. And I know when I get nervous, I can't really eat. But I had like a muffin, I think, when I was getting dressed. And I think that's it, but I mean, anything helps. So if you can just kind of nibble on something and have a little bit of food in your stomach, especially if you're going to be having like mimosas when you're getting dressed or champagne at your reception, it will help you feel a lot better if you get a good night's rest and then have at least a little bit of food in your stomach during the day. Number 3 is that you need to make sure that you have the necessities. And I'm not talking about like your dress, your shoes, like yes, you definitely need to have that stuff, but I'm talking about the smaller things that could really come in handy, but that you might not think about. So like ibuprofen, Advil, safety pins, band-aids if you start to get a blister, double-sided tape, chapstick, deodorant, just all those little like toiletries and medicines that you might not always have with you. Make sure you pack some kind of little bag or put like a bridesmaid in charge of doing that for you so that you'll have all that stuff in the dressing room. Even if you do not need it, there's a good chance that your mom or your future mother-in-law or a bridesmaid will need some of those things. I typically leave like different medicines in my purse anyway. The last wedding that I was in, the mother of the groom had a headache and I just ran back to the dressing room and got her some headache medicine. I was in a wedding over the summer and the bride felt really like nauseous, and I had been on vacation the week before, so I just happened to have like nausea medicine and Pepto in my purse. So you never know if you will feel sick or start to get a headache, or maybe you have allergies. So just keep literally everything that you could think of that you might need. Keep all of that with you and have it in the dressing room in case you or one of your bridesmaids needs it. Number 4 is have someone video your first look. And I had a photographer and I had a videographer, but one of my favorite things from my wedding is just a cell phone video that my brother-in-law made. He did not tell anyone he was going to do it. We didn't know he was doing it, like it was completely on the spot, and he videoed our first look, and it is so precious. Shared that video on my Instagram like twice. I'm going to insert the clip here so that you can look at it. And it's just a cell phone video that my brother-in-law made. That's one of my favorite little things from my wedding day. So I asked on my social media if anyone had specific questions that they wanted me to touch on in my Wedding Wednesday videos. And I had a couple of people ask if I recommended doing a first look and if I did one. And that's different for everyone. Our wedding was pretty traditional, but I did know that I wanted to do our first look and take all of our photos before the wedding so that we could enjoy our reception. So Ethan and I did our first look at like, I don't know, 2 o'clock, and the wedding was at 6. It was just me, him, the photographer, the videographer, and then Ethan's brother who made the cell phone video. So we did our first look, took all of our photos together, and did every photo. I wanted to get all the photos out of the way, and that is totally a preference thing. If you do not want your groom to see you until the actual ceremony, that is up to you. There is no right or wrong way to do that, in my opinion. It's your day, and you should do it however you want to do it. I just knew that I wanted to get the bulk of our pictures out of the way, and also I was very nervous the day of the wedding until our first look. If you feel that way and you think that seeing the groom a few hours before the wedding would calm your nerves, then you should totally do it. I loved doing it. I wouldn't have done it any other way, but I'm not going to tell you to do it, because if you want your groom to see you for the first time when you're walking down the aisle, then I totally think you should do that. I just wanted to share what I did. If you do a first look, that is definitely tip number 4 from me, is to get someone to video it, because that is my absolute favorite video of all time. Tip number 5 is to do a fake leave. And I did not know what this was, but my videographer actually recommended it, and I'm so glad that he did. I've been to several weddings since my wedding where the reception lasted like so long and so late into the night that a lot of guests kind of started to leave after a while and didn't get to see the bride and groom leave the reception. So what we did is at like 8 or 8:30 that night, we gathered everyone and lined everyone up and lit the sparklers, and we did our fake leave. And we did this so that there would be more people, you know, lining the sidewalk where we left the venue, standing there holding sparklers. So if you're having a reception with like a band or a DJ and you're planning on dancing and stuff into the night, I strongly suggest doing a fake leave so that you will have more guests there to watch you leave, and more people in your leaving photos and especially your video. I'm really glad we did our fake leave. These were just 5 tips that I recommend for your wedding day. If you haven't watched episode 1, where I talk about 5 things that I would do a little bit differently on my wedding day, please watch it. I will post that link in the description box below. I'm going to do wedding related videos every Wednesday for the next several weeks. And if you have a specific question or topic that you would like me to talk about, just leave it in the comment section below. And if you are not planning a wedding, please share this with a friend or family member who is planning a wedding. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.